It doesn't surprise me that The Way of the Dog seems to be very well received, at least based on IMDb. This is the 22nd episode of the 31st season of The Simpsons, directed by Matthew Faughnan, and for context, it has 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb across 954 reviews and ratings. For season 31, that's phenomenal. And I have to say, I quite liked it. It was a little bit emotional, but it was very, very thought-provoking. Santa's Little Helper is behaving quite peculiarly, and he starts to become dangerous. Not incredibly dangerous, but his behaviour is becoming quite risky. So the family together as a unit, and I love that the family were working together to try and get Santa's Little Helper the help that he needed, and it involves digging a little bit into his past and what could be causing him to behave this way. And I will say I was ashamed that I didn't work it out. And when it's revealed, it's kind of obvious, but I just didn't put two and two together. And I have to say, I think that's more on me than it is on the episode, but I thought it worked really well. There's a lot of information in this about how you shouldn't treat dogs. If you're a dog fan, if you're a dog owner, I think you'll really appreciate that part of the episode. It really celebrates good dog owners and really punishes people who treat dogs badly, and I think that that's doing an amazing thing. It does mean it's a little bit emotional at times, especially as it's set around Christmas, and because obviously Christmas is meant to be a very happy time where everybody's celebrating, but they have this big problem where they don't know what's wrong with Santa's Little Helper. They don't know what the future will be for the dog, and it does get emotional, and I did well up. I didn't cry, which is unusual for me when it comes to animal-based films and shows, but I nearly did. I did really enjoy it. It's not one I'd watch all the time because it isn't light and fluffy, and not that every episode of The Simpsons needs to be, but there are certain types of episodes that I have to be in a certain mood or with a certain level of emotional strength to watch, and this one is not that lighthearted, but it is brilliant. It's very well done. It's fascinating. As I said, I didn't work out what was going on, but I think for a lot of Simpsons fans, it might actually be kind of obvious. So that's more shame on me than anything else. I think it worked really well. So a tiny spoiler from now. I want to mention one other thing that I like, but it is a big spoiler. So spoiler from now. And when I say it's a big spoiler, it's when it was revealed what was happening. And when it was revealed, I just kind of went, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Because when we see the clip of Bart and Homer at the racetrack from the first episode around Christmas, and Bart's wearing the Santa hat, it was revealed that Santa's Little Helper had PTSD. Now, don't get me wrong, I had worked out that he was behaving this way because of something in his past, but I never put two and two together that the Santa hat that had caused him to behave this way was the Santa hat, or very similar Santa hat, that Bart was wearing when they first got Santa's Little Helper, and it obviously triggered that memory. And as I said, once I saw it, it felt obvious. But I'd love to know if you worked it out, or if, like me, you felt like a bit of an idiot once it was revealed. But the bit that I loved was seeing the old Simpsons footage, because over time, it's hard to see these subtle changes in the animation style. But when you have an episode from 31 seasons ago cut into an episode from, well, I think 2020, if I'm not mistaken, it's just the contrast. Homer's smile, this huge toothy grin he did, was just so creepy, and it just made me realise how different the animation style is now. So I rather like that. But even without that, it's a brilliant episode. Very moving. Potentially can be quite an emotional episode, very thought-provoking, and as I said, it ultimately celebrates being a good dog owner and punishes those who abuse dogs, and that's a wonderful message. The Way of the Dog is definitely a pretty strong way to end season 31. Oh, I forgot to mention Cate Blanchett as Elaine Wolf. Yeah, loved her in this as well. Great character, great voice acting, of course. Yeah, definitely, all things considered, a really brilliant episode.